Hey guys, Fat Daddy again. Alright, it's actually been 14 days. I know we said we'd be here 7 to 9 days or 9 or 10 days for the, but my videographer wasn't in, so I waited for her to come back. It's 14 days it's been curing, nice and hard. See the difference? Remember from the last video? This is all the liquid that it pulled out. You can see all the liquid in the bag. That's all the liquid that the brine, that's what the cure pulled out of the meat, all that liquid. So now what we're going to do is, now it's all nice and firm, we're going to take it out and wash it. Alright, so we're going to take it out of this bag. Right over to the sink here. I've already taken the sink and sterilized it with my Star San. The sink's all been sterilized. Let's get all that goodness out of there. Let me get rid of this bag before it drips all over my floor. Okay. Alright, you can see what they look like now. Big difference from what they were before. They've shrunk a little bit. They're much more firm. They're not as thick. You can see all the pieces are like that. They've a dark color to them, but you can see how firm it is. The skins have done the same thing. Remember the skin, the meat was nice and pink. It's turned dark. Here's the big one. Again, you smell it. You can smell all the spices, the juniper berries, but it doesn't have an off smell. If this has like a rancid smell, it didn't work. We're just going to turn our water on cold. And, wash these down really good. Because the whole key now is all the flavorings have done what they need to do. They've flavored this thing beautiful. Now they've got to go. You don't want to bite into it and have a juniper berry in your mouth. So these all have to go. You'll wash it down nice. And right now this stuff is so salty that you probably couldn't even eat it. I will take a slice off and fry it up right after I wash it, and I don't even bother anymore. It's so salty that it's ridiculous salty. So what we're going to do is we're going to soak these before we smoke them and before we let them dry. We're going to soak them just to get rid of some of that salt. Alright, I'm just going to hang that one right there. So we want to wash all of these, the skins included. The skins I don't soak. They're just as salty as the bacons at this point. They're not pork bellies anymore. Now they are fully cured, and they're bacons. Even if you don't smoke them, this would be, I guess, what you would call pancetta stata, which is the Italian version of bacon. Basically flat pancetta. It's pancetta without rolling it. So we're going to wash these down nice. See how beautiful that skin looks? It's still nice like it was when we cut it up, but the meat is turned a little darker. Instead of being really light, faint pink, the meat has gotten much darker, but this is still just as salty as the bacon. So what I like to do is I like to leave my skins. I don't wash them. I mean, I don't soak them like I do the bacon, because I like them a little salty, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use them to flavor my beans. Well, my baked bean recipe calls for salt. I'm just going to omit all the salt in my baked bean recipe and use the salted pork, and that way I get all the salt I need for my recipe right out of the pork. It'll come right out of the skin. So there's no sense in wasting the salt. You used a lot of salt to make this stuff, and then you're going to throw it out and use salt to make the beans. So I'm going to keep clearing my sink here. Those juniper berries, they don't go down very well. So wash this all nice and good. Remember all the meat folds? We talked about meat folds on the last one. Little tiny folds of meat like that. I said get your cure in there. You can tell now if that was still really pink, you may have a problem. But where it's dark, you're good. That's what the benefit, of when I say get all that cured down inside those little folds of meat. That's why. The second one. We've got third one. Now, if you got something that's pink, you know, like see how this is a little pinker, this is dark, and this is a little light. There was probably another one of these sitting on top of it. It isn't bad to smell it. It ain't, like I said, it isn't rancid. It's cured. It just didn't get as much of the cure as some of the other parts. That's why it's a little lighter. But that's, like I say, it's important to flip these every day to keep that brine moving around and to keep it going everywhere evenly. You don't want it to go anywhere where it's not supposed to. You don't want anything to be uncured. That's the biggest thing. You want everything to have an even shot of getting that cure on it. Alright, our third bacon right there. Now let's do these couple of skins. Then there's a little piece I talked about. I was going to cure that. See, the silver skin is still on it, but it shrunk way up. When I do my beans, this silver skin here will fall right out. And that meat will flavor up my beans beautiful. Okay. I've got so much stuff here to do that I'm going to have to run 2 batches through my smoker. Because I can only fit really 3 of these bellies, and I might be able to hang a couple of the skins in there, but probably going to have to be done in 2 batches. So I'll do 2. I'll do my bellies first, and then I'll do the skins afterwards. Alright, so we're going to get this all cleaned up. Alright, so now that all this is all washed down, look at that. Isn't that nice? You see all the meat? I told you there was a lot of meat left on these skins. You couldn't really see it before. You can see it now. Now that it's cured. Alright, so let's get rid of all the stuff out of the sink. That's what we're going to do now. And this is why I said don't worry about the garlic, don't worry about the skins on the garlic or anything else. You're washing it all off anyway. We get all this stuff out of here. Just rinse the sink down. And now we're going to soak these bellies. I'm going to soak them. Well, you know, when I first started doing these, I'd soak them for a little bit, and then I'd cut a slice off and see how it was, and soak them for a little bit more, and, you know, it ended up that it was about 2 hours is the perfect amount of time for me to soak my bellies. So we're going to fill the sink up. I'm going to lay the bellies in there. I shouldn't say the bellies, we're going to lay the bacons in there, because these are technically bacon now. I don't soak my skins. So my skins I'm going to put right out on the rack to start to cure. Start to dry, I should say. And we're going to soak these in cold water for 2 hours. Alright, so I'm just going to fill the sink right up. Make sure they're all covered. And we're going to let that go for 2 hours. Then we're going to take them out and dry them. And I'm taking these over here. Come on over here. I'm just going to dry this stuff off real quick. I just dry it on a towel and lay it. I use an oven rack and a sheet pan. Just pat all the water out of them, or as much as you can get. And I'm going to lay them skin side down because I want that to dry. The skin you really don't have to worry about drying, it's all the meat, you know what I mean? You want to get it nice and dry. The drier you get this, the better it will accept the smoke. So, Alright. Yeah, and then what we're going to do, we're going to let those sit. And if you put a fan on those, it'll actually speed up the drying process. They don't have to be perfectly dry. I'll let them sit there for a couple of hours while those soak. Then I'll take the bellies out of the sink. And I'll dry the bellies off. And then I'll go out and I'll get the smoker ready. And while the smoker's heating up, the bellies will be drying off, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to soak these for 2 hours, and then we'll be back in the next video. We'll take them out, pat them dry, and get them in the smoker, and we'll smoke them. Alright? Talk to you.